This color was worth more than 3 times its weight in gold, and to make a single gram of it, you needed something no one would ever guess, as many as 10,000 rotting sea snails. This is Tyrian purple, the most expensive dyestuff of antiquity, a deep, glowing purple prized for being unusually durable. Where other dyes faded, this one held. It doesn't come from a flower or a stone or the earth. It comes from this, a sea snail called the murex, and one small gland inside its body. Rome didn't just admire this color. Rome wore it as rank, a visible line between who mattered and who didn't. The Phoenicians told a story about how it was found. The god Melkart, the Greeks would call him Heracles, was walking the shore near Tyre with his dog. The dog bit into a shellfish and lifted its head with its mouth stained a purple no one had ever seen. It's a beautiful story. It is a legend, discovery told as an accident of the gods, not anything archaeology can confirm. What archaeology can see is less romantic and more impressive. The dye belongs to the late Bronze Age, centuries before Rome. Tyre gave it its name, and at Sarepta, on the coast of modern Lebanon, the remains of a shellfish purple industry go back some 13 centuries before Christ. And whoever was first, some scholars point to Minoan Crete, and the argument is still live. This much is clear. By the 9th century BCE, at a site called Tel Shikmona on the Carmel coast, purple was reportedly being made at industrial scale. Excavators describe rows of huge dye vats, perhaps 15 or 20 of them running at once. Not a craft, a factory. So how do you get an emperor's color out of a sea snail? Pliny the Elder wrote the recipe down. You take the snail, you open it and take out the gland. You add salt and you let it sit for 3 days. Then you cook it slowly in metal vessels. Now multiply that by huge numbers of snails, and you understand the other thing the sources make hard to miss about the purple towns: the smell. Workshops reeked of decomposing marine flesh, and the snails themselves piled up into mountains. At Sidon, one report describes a heap of crushed murex shells 40 meters high, a hill made entirely of the color's leftovers. All that rot for a color. And here is where the story turns, because scarcity like that doesn't just make a color expensive, it makes it something power wants to own. In the year 301, the Emperor Diocletian issued an edict fixing maximum prices across the Roman world. 1 pound of the finest purple-dyed silk, 150,000 denarii. The same edict prices a full-grown male lion at exactly the same number. 1 garment, 1 lion. Rome used purple to draw lines. The toga praetexta, a white toga with a purple border, marked magistrates and the official classes. Julius Caesar, the story goes, went further, an all-purple toga, worn as a signal of exceptional power. And Plutarch says that when Cleopatra sailed to meet Antony, her barge came up the river under outspread purple sails, a queen announcing herself in one of antiquity's most expensive colors. Then the line hardened into law. Roman writers record that Nero restricted the sale, even the wearing of the 2 highest grades of purple. People tell it darker than that under Nero, wearing the emperor's purple could cost you your life. The sources we have show restriction, confiscation, imperial monopoly. The death penalty version survives as the story, not the statute. No name of anyone executed for a purple cloak has come down to us. What is documented is in some ways stranger. A color, a wavelength, legally converted into imperial property. Byzantium finished the thought. In Constantinople, the legitimate heir was porphyrogennetos, born in the purple, said to be delivered in a chamber of the Great Palace lined with purple porphyry stone. Emperors came and went by the sword. This title you could only be born into. A color had become a bloodline. You can still see all of this. These are the shells themselves. Murex, the 3 Mediterranean species that carried the dye, sitting today in open museum collections. Spiked, armored, unremarkable. Every purple robe in this story started as a pile of these. This is porphyry, the imperial stone, quarried from a single mountain in the Egyptian desert, prized because it was born the right color. This basin and this vessel were carved under the Roman Empire, and in Venice, the 4 tetrarchs, 4 emperors in one embrace, are cut from the same purple rock around the year 305. And this is a page of the Rossano Gospels, a 6th century manuscript written on parchment dyed purple, scripture itself dressed in the imperial color. But the evidence can also cut the other way. When scientists analyzed the Vienna Genesis, a famous purple manuscript, silver ink on purple parchment, the dye they identified wasn't murex purple at all. It was orchel, a different purple dye. Not every purple manuscript, it turns out, was true shellfish purple. So where did it go? By the 15th century, the recipes were effectively lost. The tradition had lived inside Byzantium, and when Constantinople fell in 1453, the world that paid for imperial purple went with it. One color history source records the quiet ending. In 1467, Pope Paul II gave up on Tyrian purple and dressed his cardinals in kermes red instead. The most guarded color on earth simply stopped. For 400 years, the purple of emperors was a memory. Then, in the 19th century, a French zoologist, Henri de Lacaze-Duthier, is credited with tracing the old dye back to the living snail. And in 1909, the chemist Paul Friedlander finished the story with a number. He processed 12,000 murex snails and got 1.4 grams of pure dye. Inside it, he found something no one expected in a natural color: bromine. The emperor's secret finally had a chemical name, a molecule of dibromo indigo, indigo, with the sea locked inside it. Today, one pigment house in Germany still lists genuine Tyrian purple, made the old way. The listed price, for a single gram, around 2,500 euros. And yet purple itself is everywhere. Synthetic, effortless, on toys and t-shirts and toothbrushes. The color survived. What died was what it meant. No law guards it, and no one is born in it anymore. From a mountain of dead snails to the pages of scripture, for close to 3,000 years, Tyrian purple proved one thing: a color is never just a color.